welcome back to Teaching Urban with Turquoise Farrar today. So, Turquoise, you have been working in the education system for how long now?
I have been working in education since 2004. So it's about 15 years.
Really? That's a long time. And you look good. You don't look stressed.
I graduated in 2004,
Uh-huh.
and I started in admissions shortly after.
Okay, so tell us more about your journey through education.
I want to mention my internship. I did an internship at the University of South Florida.
Okay.
So I got that from just me, participating in different events on UConn's campus. The internship led me into education.
Oh,
I can't say that I was interested in it.
So what did you major in?
Finance.
Oh, wow.
Literally.
Okay.
So UConn had what's called an individualized major program. In the individualized major program, you can add in subjects.
Okay.
So that's what I did.
Okay.
I took my finance business major, and then I added in humanities.
Okay.
And then that is through, seeking classes in the humanities, it allowed me to, further myself into the education realm. And then I got the internship at USF, and I was working in the admissions office there for the summer, June 2004 to August 2004. And then I started admissions here back in New York at the College of Mount St. Vincent in Riverdale. So that's what led me. And then through that, being in admissions, you meet all different. My territory was the Bronx and Long Island. Excuse me, the Bronx, Long Island, and Westchester.
Okay.
So I met all different types of students. And I wanted to get deeper into helping them get to the college point. So that is what led me into counseling.
Okay. So what are you doing now?
I am currently the 11th grade counselor at New Visions for Humanities 2. It's different. This is my second charter school. I actually started out at an all-girls Catholic school, Mother Cabrini High School, which is closed now. It was in Washington Heights. Okay. So that was, again, very different from what I was used to. All Hispanic girls, and with different issues, right? A lot of them, I don't know the appropriate word to use for it, but a lot of them had issues, citizenship issues. Right. So, trying to help them get to college
was a challenge.
Big challenge. Yes,
I can imagine even today for them, like what that looks like.
Absolutely, but it's great to see, some of them I have them on social media, that, they've however they made it happen. Yeah. They made it happen. Yes.
So, in your experience with that, was a learning experience or aha moment, or something that you took with you when you arrived to humanities too?
So, you know what? My previous school, which was Broome Street Academy.
I heard of that school.
Broome Street Academy is on Spring Street.
Okay.
And we struggled with a lot of the same things that Hume 2 struggles with. Turnover and attendance and typical things, right? That most high schools suffer. But being a charter school, that definitely was something that was a push on both places. Well, what I came in with, because I had the experience at the other charter school and I went through my struggles there, I didn't have the same struggles at Hume 2. At Broome Street, I was nervous. I'm even going to say afraid. I was afraid. I didn't know the student population. I just wasn't comfortable with the students. And although I worked with students that age on the college level, you have to remember there's a difference. When you jump from age group, right, from middle school to high school, we don't think that it's different, but it's different. It's different. So, they being in college gave them that, even though that it was their first year. And many of them I met when they were still in high school. Right. Again, if you're taking that next step to submit applications and and do all of that, by the time they got to me in admissions, it was very different from me being a counselor.
Right.
So again, a lot of the struggles when I arrived at Hume 2, I didn't have to deal with any of that. Getting acclimated to, you know, the students, right? Students are students. Now you have to acclimate yourself to the admin, and, you know, become, if there's multiple schools in the build, right? Like there's just different things that comes along with that. Like when you're comfortable with what your goal is, I'm a school counselor. When I first started, I didn't really know what that meant.
Right.
And then you start, after, you know, a couple of years of experience, you get that. So teaching classes, right? Some schools do, some schools don't.
You were teaching classes?
Oh my God. Let me say instructed, because teaching I did not do. I babysat. That's what I did. So, you know, the college counseling, right? The college counseling classes, school are usually done by guidance counselors, and or like advisory and things like that. But you still have to have classroom management, excuse me, and that, you know, again, that comes from, and you can attest to this, right? Like when you are comfortable and you know what the end goal is and the result is that you're looking for. Like I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing in the classroom,
right? And
I'm like, I'm a counselor. I don't, you know, but no, it's total, right? You need to command your office. It's the same type of, that was a big struggle for me, right? Like in education, you have to be comfortable with talking to the kids. You have to be comfortable with being yourself around them, right? You know, I use my hands a lot, as you guys can see. And I used to not do that when I was speaking with my kids, and I felt like I was holding, it was something that I wasn't giving. And then when I realized that's what was missing, I'm like, this gives me, you know, like when I talk to them, right, it's comfortable, it makes me comfortable. Right. And even though that's a little thing, that's something that helps me to just get out whatever it is that I need to get out. Back as far as Mother Cabrini High School, the all-girls school, which was really my first. That was in 2012, right after I had graduated with my master's. That was my first counseling gig out of obtaining the master's degree. Because it was all girls, it was a small school, very different. So each place is gonna be or can be very different, but you never change. You know, the students, for the most part, they all live in the same communities, right? The students are pretty much the same. And so that's why when I mentioned before about being acclimated to the administration, right? Not worrying so much about the students per se, and worrying about, you know, how you are going to help them in this setting. So the students are the same. You may have a student that goes to Broome Street and a student that attends Hume 2 and live in the same building, right? They come from the same places. What you're doing for them is going to be the same thing. It's just, it varies depending on, you know, the place that you're in, the culture of the school. Vision. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was, so what I will say is that was one of the things. And if I were to leave today or tomorrow, that would still be my focus. Right. Is going in, learning the culture of the school so that I know how to help them, you know, navigate. I can't be of any assistance to them if I don't really know what they're dealing with.
Team effort. Right. What has been your biggest, I want to say, with administration? Has it been just like I'm coming in asking questions? Like, have they been on your side, or like what have you done, or who have you gone to, or who has been your support when you're working as a counselor?
I think I seek out who, like the people that are beneficial to my students at the time. So, you know, if I, and not so much by grade, but I guess, example, at Hume 2, the person that this is also a big point that I want to bring out. There's within the charter school system, and maybe at other schools as well, right? But within charter, I've been a part of a lot of different turnover. And so, you know, you may seek out a person this year, and then the next year they're not there anymore, right? So how do you deal with that? How do you deal? And I'm still actually dealing with that, dealing with getting used to, you know, one person. So, you know, your question was, how do you seek out, or who do you seek out, right? And I guess it's really the person that I feel understands counseling in a school, or understands my position. And the person at Humanities was a counselor herself, right? So she understands and understood the struggles of being that. Just like, when you're not saying that you have to seek out teachers, right? But you want to know, okay, I'm going to talk to you because you've gone through what I've gone through.
Right.
Not saying that anybody else can't give you,
right,
any assistance or be helpful, but you want people that have gone through the things that you've experienced. So that's really what I try to, or who I try to seek out, or even if they have any experience in dealing with my world.
So how important have your relationships been with teachers? Or do you have relationships with teachers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, that is another one of the biggest things, right? Obtaining those relationships, for your students' sake, to be able to assist them. But again, it's all a team effort.
Yeah.
And so if we are all on the same page, the teachers will feel comfortable to reach out to the counselors, right? And we can talk and interchange information. And that's really what it's all about. Having all stakeholders involved in these students. Yeah. And that I think is a goal that is common amongst people that just work in a school. Don't feel like you can't reach out to people, because that's, we know.
I've had the same experience with being afraid, or like this year it'd be one person but I would say my experience at Humanities too, like every single counselor I've had to work with has been great. But that was my family. Like, this is great. This is a great relationship. Like, we work so well together. Now it's going to be somebody else. Like, am I going to get, Yes. But I can say, like, maybe not with co-teachers, but with the counselors, they're one of my biggest supporters, along with parents. So that's great.
And when you find the right, counselor that's there for the student, like being student advocates and not so much about, there's a lot of times you'll find people that have their own personal, goals, and if you want to do counseling more than what that specific school is requiring, right? Like, fortunately, this is just what happens.
So have you been having to wear other hats?
Totally. So you do, but I think no matter what role,
has it helped you in your role in counseling?
Yes. So before I became a counselor, I wanted to get more acclimated into the school. I used to look at like dean positions, and I see now one of my learning points was, I'm glad that you never got a job as a dean, right? Like, excuse me, that wasn't one of my strengths. And although I'm like, it's not for everybody. And I'm like, I thought that my relationships, I know how to build relationships with students. Like I can build relationships with them and be able to. That's not all that, And so from my relationships that I've built, you learn from those who do great at it, right? I have a colleague, Mr. Smith, who is amazing, and he wears multiple hats, and so I see the importance of his role and the importance of his role and my role together, and then the importance of his role, my role, and then the teacher included. And then when you add on, you keep adding, right? It just makes it that much stronger and stronger. And those are the reasons, right, why we like to do what we do. I think it for me, it's a team effort.
Do you think administration encourages those collaborations? Do they give you time, or do you make time?
You have to make time. I think that they want it to happen, right? Like I wouldn't say that that's something that administration, and I'm speaking of multiple, right? Not just at Humanities too, but from my multiple experiences, I think that is the goal. Because I think everybody sees the strength in numbers and sees the strength in the counselor and the teacher relationship, or the counselor and the dean, or the counselor, whoever, the counselor and the principal secretary, or whatever, right? Because the job descriptions vary from school to school, or like hierarchy varies, but I think the administration or admin in schools, they want that, but it's not always there. You have to either go out and make an effort, right? That either comes from the teacher or the counselor, whether it's the counselor seeking teacher input on a specific student, or whether it's teacher seeking counselor input, like, this is what I'm struggling with in the classroom. It gives a bigger picture.
It does.
It gives a bigger picture, broader picture, right? Teachers may not have the information that students have, that counselors have, and vice versa. So, when you put it all together, just makes it.
Your biggest struggle, what would you say, with working education?
Oh man, and I think it's multifaceted, but you have to understand the struggle that you are up against. And so think about what I'm saying into like as a multifaceted thing, right? Like depending on the type of school that you are at, you have to know, right, what the school struggles are in order for you to know what your place is. Right. And I think that matters. So if you go and if your goal is to do counseling and that's what you want to do and only, you need to know what that school is struggling with that you're going to be in, right? Because that might not be what they need, right? Because a school counselor or teacher, whatever, right? There's multiple parts to it. So, it's just difficult aligning those, right? Aligning what your goals are as a counselor and then what the school's goals are. And I think that's really where it just, it takes time you may not know right away. It's taking me through also multiple, principals as well, right? Like through multiple administrations, it's taken me some time to figure that out. But then it doesn't help, right? When you do have that change. So again, in addition to turnover, that's common at a lot of schools. I talk to colleagues a lot about that. And so yes, that is probably the most difficult thing, is aligning your goals to the school's goals to make it beneficial for the student, because that's what the job is about.
And what would be 2 or 3 things that you would suggest, like what things would support an incoming teacher, counselor,
incoming,
working with
whatever you are,
right.
Incoming into the school, you need allies. You need people that, meet people, and it's okay to share your struggles. It's okay to say, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? Or, seeking those people that do it well. And then, you learn from them, right? Like you need to, absolutely. I struggle not even at my first job. I struggled at my second one because it was very different from the first.
Got it.
And I didn't come in with that mindset that it would be different. I came in thinking what I do is what I do, and it's not. And allowing each school and institution to have its own culture and its own everything, really.
And adapting to that.
And adapting to that, exactly. And adapting to the people in it, absolutely. And again, making, and I'm not going to say friends, right? But in that, making a friend, having somebody to talk to, having somebody to share your struggles with. This is not working for me, right? Because sometimes you may not be comfortable with your administration right away. You don't want them to think that you're not
capable.
Absolutely. So you need people. You have to find those key people in the school, right? The key people, excuse me. That's what I did. I saw who the key players were in all of the schools. And I'm like, I'm going to be this person's friend. I'm going to hang out with this person. Or even not hang out, but I'm going to become familiar with these people because I know that they can show me, what I need to know. Absolutely. Or just to overcome the things that I struggle with. And it's okay, right? You're 9 times out of 10, you're going to find someone in the school that either has struggled with what you struggle with or is currently struggling with what you struggle with.
Figure it out together, because it's always better numbers. So
absolutely.
Is there anything else you would want to share?
Also to meeting students where they are. I think that in education, I learned that. And the reason why I know what works for me is because I know, right? I've been there to meet a student where they are. And also having expectations as well. But everybody, all students are different. You can categorize them and into need and things of that nature, but just understanding your generation, your student generation, right? Your student population, and becoming acclimated with the school, and like I said, what it is that you're there to support them with, because that changes from school to school. If you're at an arts school, it may be very different from being at a school humanities or at a Catholic school, right? There's certain things that you can do in Catholic school that you can't do in Catholic school that you can do in others, So again, being familiar with all of that and knowing that I used to go in a lot thinking I knew, I'm familiar with the kids. I got this. No.
Let's wake up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also okay, to be nervous and be afraid, right? But acknowledge
Where did you get your confidence from, though? Right.
I did get my confidence from my first, it wasn't my first school. The second school was very different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was also not specialized in the sense that they were geared and they targeted students that were that were coming out of prison, that were coming out of, right?
Wow,
so
okay.
yeah, homeless. And if you could say, what would you call that population? Just like a population that struggles with or has been struggling with life and school, and they need.
That's real. They need to get through it, but that's not their priority.
Right.
Priority is to survive.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way you could put it. Their priority is to survive. Meanwhile, we're expecting them to come in and do things that they're just absolutely.
Yeah, you can't expect
Absolutely. And also letting them understand that we understand, right? So that, it's a give and take. And so that's also part of meeting them where they are. It's give and take. But they're not going to just give that up, So, and experience, time, all of those things make you who you are as a professional. You may have good experience. You may have had bad experiences.
Do you have any routines? Like things that you, every day or every week, you have to make sure you check in? Like something like it's a must for you to get your job done?
I don't. I guess the only thing that, it's the days are crazy. Like, as much as I hear that all the time, right? Oh, school, you never know. Like, you really don't. Energy is also big. And I think that, right? Like, there would be days at Hume too, if there was one negative thing that happened, it kind of would lead and trickle into the day. And knowing how to spot that and stop that from happening. So, the coworker that I mentioned earlier, who was a dean, we worked a lot to tag team that. And you see the importance of his role, and you see the importance of the other roles, right? But it needs to happen. It needs to. There's a reason why there's a teacher, a counselor, dean, AP, right? And making sure that everybody has a role.
And they're doing their part.
And everybody's doing their part.
Well, thank you so much, Turquoise, for joining me today. And check back in. Thanks.
I'll be back.